Welcome to JackHorny.com show.
And this is part 3 of my little series of why Labour lost. I'm not sure what to call it, so I made it simple. It's Boris Johnson and the Burqa. Now, the reason I said I'm going to include this is because for weeks now, one of the tactics Labour have tried to do is use a remark Boris Johnson made about the Burqa, saying it looked like, a postbox. Now, let's start this from the start. The Burqa is not religious. It is nothing to do with religion. This is not the same as a Muslim lady covering the hair. That's religious. Just the same way you see other religions cover the hair. Jewish ladies, well, they do it by using a wig. Often the traditional ones. I don't know if they do as much now. They might not. But the traditional wear was they believed in covering the hair in that wet method. And also you've got Catholics. The nuns cover their hair. I mean, you see this in quite a lot of religions. But it's the burqa, which is basically the full body thing, has been around even before Islamic times. So it's before the birth of Islam or Muslims or whichever you want, and it's only in a few countries. I mean, I've looked online, and basically, it's the wording from everyone is that face veiling has not been regarded as a religious requirement by most Islamic scholars, past or present, but some scholars do view it as obligatory for women in presence of non-related males. Women may wear the burqa for many reasons, including compulsion, which is the case in several countries. And you'll notice as well in these countries that it was compulsory. Women have stopped wearing it; they rejected it. So it was gold. Someone just text me. Into typical when I'm doing this. I never get text until someone do it. Now, let's put in context what Boris Johnson was saying. Now, I think it was oh crikey, sorry. Right, let's make this clear what Boris Johnson was saying. Now, and this is why I think it's quite offensive for the left to kick off about it and misread it, because what he said was actually very liberal. It was extremely liberal. It wasn't racist. It was making factual remarks. What he was saying was he was sticking up for Muslim women, or indeed everybody, saying that they should be allowed to wear it. That's just what he said. He also said it looks ridiculous, which it does. You know, that's not racist, saying something looks ridiculous. But, I mean, I think, and it's very important, I believe that women should be able to wear what they want, and men do. And in fact, because I see it as part of freedom of speech, in freedom of speech, I believe you should be able to say whatever you want. Quite honestly, I don't care if it's hate or not. And therefore, I even will stand by people who black the face up, which that'll offend people, I know. But, you have the right to dress in whatever you want. People shouldn't tell you what to wear. When I hear these Muppets, when they say you can't have your hair in a certain style because, I don't know, it's only one culture that can have dreadlocks or something. Sodom. They're morons. I always say this. Ignore these morons. They're not worth listening to. These Muppets are just... they just want to stir up problems. They use political correctness as a weapon of hate. That's all it is for them. And therefore, if somebody ever has a go at you over political correctness and you respond, that's what they want. Because you can never win with these morons. They don't want to. They're not interested. They just want to create problems. They want a war, a fight with you. They just want to slag you off and feel smug and politically correct. So ignore them. If you ignore them, they've got no power. That's how you destroy their power. You just laugh at them. You go, so what? I don't. I mean, I always say this. I'm not interested in your opinions. In fact, half the time I just ignore them. I mean, once somebody sent me a 3-page email and I just deleted it, and they asked me if I read it. I says, no, I just deleted it. And they were devastated. They said, we spent hours writing that. I says, I know. I don't respect. I just don't give a damn about your opinion. Did you realise that? I mean, and it was only then they realised that not everybody, they're not as self-important as I thought they were. But anyway, let's go on. Um, what happened was, like I say, Boris Johnson was actually saying something quite liberal. I know it's sometimes I think some of the things he says aren't particularly that good, or I don't think he's the expert in word things, but it's important that what he said is an important thing because he actually spoke to people. He told them that yes, you too might feel uncomfortable or think this garment's stupid. We all do. But that doesn't give you the right to stop people wearing it. Let's live and let's everyone wear what they want. And that's a very liberal thing to say. He could have said, let's ban it. I mean, that would have probably got him a lot of votes. Because that's what I hear. A lot of people say this. And in fact, to be honest, I haven't even heard people in Labour, they probably have, but been this liberal over the Burqa. I think it's incredibly liberal, and actually, I think this is what irritates me and why I think Labour messed up, because they should have congratulated him on this. That's a marvellous article. You're supportive. But no, they wound people up. Now, then they claimed, and this is their fun bit, they claimed that because of his comments saying, women look like letterboxes wearing it, which they do, they look ridiculous. But that's up to them. I mean, there's no getting around that. It looks stupid, horrible. It looks repulsive, especially it's jet black. And quite honestly, it doesn't have. I mean, let's go into why people wear it. I think the reason they wear it is because some translate that you're supposed to be fully covered and modest. Well, that'd be fine, but I've said I know damn well that online there's a lot of porn sites use it as a sexual garment, so it's not the sort of modest thing people think it is. In fact, I know a few models who go out completely naked under it and do shoots. I mean, it's they're making a fortune from it, so you might as well walk around in tights and stockings. If you try to pretend it's not sexual, it is. It's turned into a sexual object. It's one of the most sexual objects out there. So, that side of things is baloney. And what else makes me giggle is that a lot of these women will wear heavy makeup on the eyes. You know what I mean? That seems to be defeating the object. But anyway, let's go on to this. What amused me? Well, it wasn't amusing. Was what Labour claimed was, and a lot of supporters, was that because Boris Johnson had written this article, people had gone round going up to women and saying you look like a letterbox or something, or posting mail into their face or something. I mean, I don't know if this is true or not. I mean, it sounds unlikely, but let's say it is. But was it because of Boris Johnson's comments? Well, let me think. Oh, he wrote it, wasn't it in the Telegraph or something? Now, I say that because it's unlikely all these thickos would have been buying the Telegraph or whatever paper it was. It doesn't even matter what paper it is. It's unlikely they'd even bought or read a newspaper in their lives. So, what's the chance of them even coming across this article? A zero. I mean, I think I had a look online, and I think you have to pay. It's one of the sites. I might be wrong. I might have got the wrong newspaper, but I think some you have to pay to read the full article. So, the only way these people would have read it is possibly either buying it or paying to read online. And I don't think they would have done. But I might be wrong. Maybe these thickos do read the Telegraph or whatever paper it's printed in. I mean, to me, the Telegraph's a middle management paper. I mean, I don't think it's that popular. It's not like the Sun or something. So how would they have seen it? How would they have come across the remark, the postbox remark? Well, obviously, the only way you can come across it is They read it on Twitter, from these left wingers that are reposting the comment. So the only ones that would have spread this post boxing are left wingers, and this is what was ridiculous. If I mean, this is why I claim this was partially responsible for Labour losing, because people know how nonsense it was. That the only ones that were spreading the hatred, because it was done in a hatred way by spreading. I'm not saying what Boris Johnson did was meant to be hatred. I mean, they were spreading this one line, and the people who are reading it were the ones who might have been the ones who were, if it's true, were the ones saying to people letterbox comments. And I'm probably not. I'm driveling on here. What I'm trying to say is that if they hadn't posted about the letterbox comment on Twitter or whatever, nobody would have known. I wouldn't have known. I don't think most of you would have known, would you? I mean, would you have even read the article? I certainly wouldn't. And in fact, the only reason I know about this article is because of these left wingers posting it and reposting it and reposting it. It was a bit like Danny Baker, the comedian, who posted that joke. And I think it was generally a joke about the baby monkey thing. Now he deleted it straight away. Right, fair enough. Okay, he said sorry, and that was that. But what was bizarre was people then posted the actual screenshot. They didn't just say Danny Baker wrote something, which is, that might have been reasonable. But for some reason, this article's so offensive, they screenshot it and repost it thousands and thousands of times. They were ensuring people would see it. And yet this is so offensive. Why would you post something that you consider offensive? You just wouldn't. I would never dream of posting something I considered offensive. Oh, look, everybody, I find this offensive. Can you ensure everybody else sees it? That doesn't make sense. I mean, this is one of the points I'm trying to. I'm probably making it a rather PowerPoint today, to be honest. But for me, one of the problems is that the left have been pulling up all this gunk, and it's unnecessary, and people don't fall for it. And then actually, again, you see, it goes back to another post where I say the left think everyone's a bit stupid. And they thought people that stupid would all go, ooh, Boris Johnson's racist because of that. We won't look into why he said it. We're not smart enough to understand that. It was actually quite a liberal post he made. It was actually defending Muslim women. In fact, I would even argue it was defending all women, if not all men, to wear whatever they wish. And the other point you find, and this is the other thing, slightly going off subject but slightly related, is that one of the things that I think also put people off Labour was the constant, almost false setting up of situations. So on Question Time, it turned out a lot of people were plants, some were actors. When Boris Johnson had people going up to him in hospital saying how bad things were, it turned out these were Labour activists. Even the pitch, I mean, we ended up not believing Labour in the end. Well, I don't believe any of the stories in them because they just turned out constantly false, such as the original one a while ago was Corbyn on the train saying that he had no seats, and then Virgin said, yeah, there were seats. And it turned out, I think I might be wrong on this, there were seats, but it was just a publicity stunt, just to draw up a bit of attention. And in fact, recently those doubts. You see, the trouble is people simply now doubt everything, doubt what Labour was saying. I mean, it became a party of. I mean, this may be what I should have called it. The reason Labour lost is because they were telling quite a lot of parkies, or seemed to be telling a lot of parkies. So you had the situation in the Leeds Hospital, where that sounds shocking. And then suddenly, in fact, they even lied about what Boris Johnson did. They said he put the phone in his pocket. Well, it turned out he put it in temporary and then pulled it out later. And looked at it. But the way it was recorded was he put it in his pocket and walked off. But then there was a lot of doubt about this picture. Was it real or fake? Because a lot of people were saying um, that no doctor and it would have put such the mask was incorrect, and a lot they kept saying the details were wrong. That the kid would have to be sat up and stuff. So I don't know if it was a genuine picture or not, but I think there was so much doubt about it. Can you blame people? I mean, maybe it was true, but the trouble is that there's been so much spin from Labour, constant. It got me sick to teeth. I mean, I just wasn't listening in the end because it was so obvious. Every time they just had news. I mean, this is probably why Labour hated the press because they kept checking up on the facts. They kept saying, "Hang about this person that isn't sort of independent. He's a Labour supporter." So when Boris Johnson was accosted in hospital, it was just a political stunt, and yet Labour think that was going to win people over. Well, I just sat there and thought, these are just fake. That's not real. If I'd been a genuine person, I'd have felt something, but it just kept coming across as fake, fake, fake. Desperate attempts. I do think this was genuinely one of the effects of why Labour lost, because I think people ended up not believing Labour in the end. All the spin, and I think that upset Labour. I think this is why because quite honestly, I think that one of the things Labour moaned about, Corbyn especially, is he didn't like the way the media presented him. I think it was basically because they questioned everything. I'm sorry, but that's what people do. I don't see why the media shouldn't be allowed to question um, who's standing up. I mean, it turned out a lot of people on the Question Time audience turned out to be actors or actresses or Labour plants. I mean, there was nothing, you know, if these had been genuine people, just the public, fine, but it started being so false that I think people generally understood that they were being spun, spun this agenda, spun like a bit like. I mean, this is the thing you see that when they claim to be, they're going to be different type of socialists. Well, so far they seem to be the same as communist countries, where they spin the media to have one message, and that's what Labour seem to want to do. They're doing it themselves. Um, anyway, it's just my point. Perhaps I'm wrong, but I think it's worth mentioning. This is one of the points that I think Labour did lose with. And like I say, I think, and I generally think that they'd have done better to say, look, Boris Johnson, we don't think it's perfect, far from it, but this article is actually very, very liberal. And especially when they're speaking to people who could be racist, you know, and to actually say to them, look, I understand that you think this looks silly, but they have a genuine right to wear it. That's quite good, don't you think? But to actually condemn him, let's not stick up for women then. And we've got to remember, as I say, in many, I mean, there's a lot of countries you can list. I mean, I looked up. I don't know if they're still banned, but a lot of countries ban the burqa. And yeah, I mean, and he ain't asking to ban it, and I bet that they've got him a lot of votes. He's actually risking losing votes by sticking up for people. Um, that's actually doing something that I don't think would. I think a lot of politicians, even on the left, would have not done. They wouldn't have risked it, and I think for him to do it is very. You should actually congratulate him. It's actually one of the good things I would say he's ever done. If you're going to list anything he's ever done in his life, I bet that's probably one of the best things you could actually list him doing, rather than condemn him for it. And don't forget, like I keep saying, I mean, for a lot of people who go on saying that burqa's a Muslim thing, well, you got to remember, in many, many countries, women are objecting. Muslim women are objecting to the burqa. They're removing it. They're getting lashed for it. Um, it's not. I mean, if women here want to wear it, that's up to them. I mean, part of me suspects, quite honestly, it's a bit like a form of oh God, I had the word in my head. Um, just showing off, basically. I mean, sometimes. I mean, sometimes I hear people, especially I've heard it on Question Time by Labour MPs who've female often, who claim that women wear the burqa because their husbands make them wear it. But to be honest, I think sometimes they just wear it just because they can, just to show off, basically. Knowing it winds people up. Because it's very rare you ever see many women wear it. I mean, it's a very rare, you know, if it was a Muslim outfit, every Muslim woman would wear it, wouldn't they? I hardly see it. I mean, I can go to Muslim areas, and I think I've only ever seen one woman wear it. I mean, it's a sort of, it makes it, I mean, it's not something that's such a big deal. But, I think you have the right to wear it. In fact, I think a man has the right to wear it. If I wanted to wear it, I don't think anyone should stop me. I don't think you should, even if you're not Muslim, you should be able to wear it. No one should be forced telling you what to wear and what not to wear. I mean, I'll defend your right for you to wear anything you want. You look ridiculous if you want. But also, and this is something else, people have the right to say it looks silly, and not for you to jump up and down and say, "Oh, you're being racist." It's not being racist. I mean, if I said people in Scotland look silly, or anyone looks silly for wearing a kilt, I have the right to. That's an opinion. It's not racist to have an opinion what looks silly. I mean, there's. I'll give you an example. I was just watched a clip on YouTube from, is it The Last Leg or whatever on Channel 4? And the comedian, well, if you call him a comedian, they're not particularly funny, but he's grown his beard really bad. I mean, it looks weird. Now, it looks absolutely bizarre. It looks as stupid as they come. But, I mean, and that's my opinion. I'm not racist because he's Australian. I mean, it looks ridiculous, that beard, but I suppose he's showing off to try and look quite, I don't know, right on us. I don't know why he's growing it. They're probably saying another show, but it looks horrible. It looks the most horrendous thing I've ever seen. And that's not a racist thing just because he's Australian. Anyway, that's just my point because the dogs want to walk now. Alright then, cheers, bye.